I am Captain Spawn, and this is day 294 of Spawn Year. Today, when I reached into the garbage can to retrieve the comic for review, I found instead the Velociraptor. It snapped its thick jaw filled with razor-sharp teeth at me over and over until I finally grabbed it firmly by the tail and heaved it with all my caffeine-given strength up against the alley wall. The Velociraptor may be small, but he's tough and vicious. At full power, I could fight him all day and never do better than a stalemate. And I've always suspected he's only ever really been toying with me. I doubt that I've ever witnessed more than a small fraction of his real power. But the Velociraptor wasn't here to take me apart and make a Captain Spawn casserole. As usual, he was delivering a message. He transformed back into Tiny Adam West and told me to never let down my guard. I didn't anticipate anything possibly coming out of the trash can, and that sort of ill-prepared surprise is exactly what the emissary of Coke, a ruthless soldier bred for nothing but war, will take advantage of. Tiny Adam West said I'd become too complacent and relaxed in the alley. He chastised me for so carelessly opening Freakadoo's gift box and then keeping that demented-looking teddy bear with no thought of what it might really be. A Trojan horse, perhaps. I inspected it right there for explosives or Coca-Cola, but found nothing. Did Tiny Adam West really think Freakadoo was an undercover agent for Coke? Of course not, Tiny Adam West said. He's an idiot who doesn't know the difference between a hot dog and a screwdriver half the time. But his point was not to trust anything, and that our formal training sessions with stocky Frank Miller Batman aren't the only times I should be preparing for my inevitable bout. My training is ongoing. He said anything could happen here at any time, and I'd better be ready for it. Then he vanished once more, and today's comic was right where it should be. I've been going along with this whole Rocky montage thing because I have to cooperate in order to keep the Mountain Dew flowing. But it appears my training is about to be even more of a distraction to my reviewing than it has been before. In Spawn 156, we see Spawn defeat a powerful enemy by learning to stand back and let the sad souls in his head do all the work. And once again, we're reminded why it totally sucks to be a Fitzgerald. Seriously, this family can't get a break. After being hunted by Wynn, having their daughter kidnapped, plagued by the very corporeal and dangerous ghost of Wanda's dead husband, seeing Cyan go feral every time she lost that infernal shoelace, which she astoundingly has been allowed to keep. I hope something's finally done with that. And now, having to raise two monsters from hell that Wanda gave birth to miraculously. How has this whole family not degenerated into a collective suicidal depression? Maybe people really are this adaptable, or maybe they just disturbingly keep their spirits up through buckets of unhealthy denial. That's always been Terry's attitude anyway, and he's paying for it by the end of this issue. Terry still hasn't learned to trust his wife when she thinks something's wrong with their kids. And you'd think a guy whose best friend came back to life and tried to steal his wife back away from him would have a more open mind about strange possibilities. You'd also think a guy who claims to love his wife so much he'll stand up to an all-powerful hell demon for her might give her the benefit of the doubt and not condescendingly dismiss her concerns as overreactions like she's just a finicky emotional woman and is lacking in the cool reason he has as a man. I think Terry and Al might have a whole lot more in common than this series has ever addressed, and it's not the more commendable character traits. So anyway, Terry's still an idiot and doesn't believe Wanda when she says one of the twins bashed the other's brains in, but he's now miraculously fine and they somehow cleaned up all the blood. Terry takes the twins to a psychiatrist just to humor her, but of course, the twins are perfect angels there, and the psychiatrist suggests it's Wanda who needs psychiatric help. And right after they've, in a calculated fashion, destroyed their mother's life, the twins decide they just can't keep pretending anymore because torture and murder is too much fun, and by the last page the facade is through, and they've already revealed their true colors to the whole family, tying the parents and Cyan up and setting Wanda up to look like she's committed a murder-suicide. It seems they've purposefully created a scenario where Wanda looks nuts because she's claiming her toddlers are deranged monsters. And with everything she's been through, this setup situation wouldn't be hard to swallow even without the I hate my kids angle. Frankly, it's a miracle Wanda or Terry hasn't snapped already and actually killed their whole family. Man, if he makes it out of this alive, I hope Terry becomes the single most paranoid person on the planet. Maybe now he'll listen to his wife when she's terrified beyond belief. I really hate to say this, I really do, but part of me wants this to be the tragic end of this miserable family. They don't really deserve it, of course, but I do. I am sick of their stereotypical dialogue and their roles as constant props to force the story along. And Wanda's death would force Spawn to finally stop looking to her as his only link to humanity, because with this stupid wedding ring as the symbol of his humanity thing, he's still not really moving on, despite all those times we've been told he is. I can't believe I've never thought of this before. Wanda, it's time for you to die. Spawn's got to set himself free. That's just how it's got to be. I know it hurts to say goodbye, but it's time for you to die. Meanwhile, Spawn lets the Indian couple spirits handle the god Kali by making a sacrifice to her that makes her go away and stop all that evil. For both issues they've been here, they've been concealing something beneath a blanket we're told is the thing they couldn't bring themselves to give up that's preventing them from crossing over into the afterlife. It was immediately obvious to me it's a baby, but I guess Hind thinks I'm Terry level clueless because it's treated like a shocker here. They had an unborn baby that didn't make it to the delivery. They all died in a car crash, and they never got over it. Because Kali is said to be a mother above all else, she accepts the sacrifice and tells Spawn to learn his lesson well, saying these people have sacrificed a life much more precious than his, implying he isn't a true hero because he's never willingly fully given of himself for someone else when he didn't have some personal agenda. Which is kinda true, except maybe that time he tried to save that trainload of people from Clown and nearly died. I'm not sure what Hein is getting at here. It sort of reads like Spawn's lesson was about learning to listen to these new voices in his head, which sounds a little frightening out of context. But perhaps it's about rediscovering his humanity through these other lost souls, because after all Spawn's aimless, goalless meandering, what is he if not a lost soul? And remember, at least one of them, Chris, is somehow a literal representation of an aspect of his personality, innocence. And hey, this is wishful thinking, but what if this lesson is all about sacrifice and it's Wanda herself Spawn has to give up when she gets killed? Maybe. While it does happily have the potential to progress Spawn's character in some way, I'm not holding my breath, and I'm glad it really is kind of about our central character at the end of the day, this whole situation remains peculiar and awkward. This creature was brought to life by psycho demon kids, which somehow deflates the whole situation for me, because I just don't buy that anything with an honor code comes from those minds. And I don't have a clear enough picture of this apocalypse at large. Why was Kali in India the most immediate threat? Why does Man of Miracles have Spawn putting out fires over searching for the root cause of the whole thing, since stopping the end of the world is what Man of Miracles charged him with? Speaking of putting out fires, I have a feeling I'm going to be doing a great deal of that myself here in my alley until the coming of the Emissary of Coke. If only I had a bunch of souls inside me I could manifest as little helper spawns. Signed, Captain Spawn.